For the next session on decoding AI revolution in India, we invite Mr. Sriram Subramanya, founder, managing director and CEO, Integra Software Services Private Limited, and chair, NASSCOM National SME Council, to join us on stage. May we also request our next esteemed speaker, Mr. Rajesh Nambiar, Chairman and MD, Cognizant India, and Chairperson, NASSCOM, to join us on stage, please. Together, they will delve into the fascinating topic of leading the AI revolution, where we'll uncover the limitless potential of artificial intelligence and its ability to reshape industries, empower innovation, and drive transformative change in our digital landscape. Over to you, Mr. Subramanya.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this exciting session. Thank you, Rajesh, for joining this session in spite of your busy schedule. AI is revolutionizing all the industry verticals and society. Just want to quote, as Ray Kurzweil said, AI will reach and exceed human level by 2029. So I just want to quote from today's Times of India's news. This is a statement from our Honorable Prime Minister at the Startup Magakum conference yesterday. Artificial intelligence has opened up new opportunities for India's young innovators, and world believes that India will have an upper hand in this area. He also said that India will take the lead in AI, adding that the country will serve as a launch pad for new global innovations and solutions. This is our Honorable Prime Minister's statement today on AI opportunities. Just want to give a market size. It's very, very important for SMEs. Currently, global artificial intelligence market size is valued at $100 billion, and it is expected to grow $320 billion by 2027. That is a growth rate of 35% CAGR. Last year, AI and related investments in India was around $730 million. So there are huge opportunities. It's picking up in big way in India. The world's biggest AI talent pool is in India, but will still require more AI talent. Currently, we are seeing a big AI wave. We should always be part of AI wave to grow our businesses, especially SMEs. We should gear up as an AI-ready company or AI-first company. I strongly recommend SME entrepreneurs to leverage the AI wave and grow your businesses. As mentioned this morning, I would like to quote again Peter Diamandis, who is a mega predictor, has said, there will be two kinds of companies at the end of this decade. Those who are fully utilizing AI and those who are out of business. So AI is going to stay. We should start embracing AI, especially SMEs. With this brief introduction of AI, I'd like to give you a brief introduction about Rajesh Nambiar. Most of you know Rajesh, but for the benefit of non-NASSCOM members, I'll give you a brief introduction. Rajesh Nambiar is a chairman of NASSCOM with over 30 years of experience in enterprise technologies and delivery. Rajesh has worked with some of the largest IT service providers in the world. He is currently the chairman and managing director of Cognizant. And he is a part of Cognizant's Global Executive Council. In this role, Rajesh leads decision-making of key company priorities in the region, provides overall leadership to over 250,000 associates across India. Prior to Cognizant, Rajesh served as a chairman and president of Sienna India. Earlier, Rajesh held a series of global leadership roles at IBM. Before IBM, Rajesh spent over 18 years at TCS, and he was leading the company's business across Eastern US. Over to you, Rajesh, for remarks.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sriram, for those wonderful introduction. So I hope I live up to all of the expectations here. Look, I think it's amazing to be part of this. And when I looked at the crowd when I walked in, I think I want to say that Sandeep from NASSCOM is a different challenge when it comes to NTLF. I think the SME conferences are actually, punching above their weight. So I think we have to probably up our game for NTLF even more. But having said that, Look, I think we had a wonderful panel. I had a chance to sort of listen to Sangeeta and the rest of them on the panel. So clearly, I'm not the first one to talk to you about AI, and then certainly not the last one, right? I mean, so this topic is evolving, and so all of us have, significant amount of thoughts around what AI is and what AI should be and what the problems it should solve and all of that. But I want to sort of step back before we even getting into AI and sort of look at the broader sense of what's really happening around the world, right? I mean, when you look at any technology discontinuity, right? I mean, that's been happening for a while, and each of these technology discontinuity has brought in significant changes in the human capital, which means that, if you go back and look at all the technology discontinuity that we've had so far, whether it is, internet or cloud or invention of anything and computing and so on and so forth, it creates a lot of discontinuity for the human behavior. And I believe that the human capital disruption that we're going to see with AI will be far more impactful compared to any of the previous disruptions that we would have seen. So that's something which amazes, and I'll tell you why I feel that way. And I believe that is going to be the reason why we have to pay attention to AI and make sure that, and again, I was impressed with the previous panel in terms of really how they can apply in some of the businesses which you're all looking at in some sense, right? And again, I think it was Sangeeta who mentioned AI is not new at all. And do you know when was the first time the word artificial intelligence was actually used in 1955? It's about 70 years since then. But you always had this sort of a jagged growth of AI. I mean, there was a period where AI would significantly make some improvements, and then there'll be lull for about 10 years, nothing happened in AI, and then again there's a bit of a activity in the innovation space, and then there's going to be a lull and so on and so forth. And the reason why we're all talking about AI today is because of the fact that about 18 months ago, when we had this generative AI, which suddenly gave this new life to the rest of AI. But as you know, AI is a lot more complex and a lot more comprehensive compared to the generative AI part, which is only a small piece of what we're going to be doing with generative AI. So I believe that there is so much to do with this technology, and then the impact that it could have on the businesses. And as I mentioned, in terms of the disruption in the human capital, the way we live and work is going to be significant as we move forward. So that's number one. And what is different now? Why is it suddenly there is so much of euphoria around this now, as opposed to any time in the as I said, it's been around for 70 years, so it should probably have caused similar amount of disruption in the past. But this is the very first time. I mean, if you go back and look at the history, so far humans were trying to understand what computers were over a period of time. This is the very first time when computers are trying to understand the human behavior, and computers are going to try and mimicking human intelligence and so on and so forth. We haven't gotten to AGI, but at some point in time, that is exactly the change, if you may. And that too, all of this is done in natural language interface. It no longer requires any of those special languages or special way to program and so on and so forth. But you're really able to sort of interact with natural language interface in some sense. I just want to ask a question to the audience. What do you think is the most popular programming language as of today? Any thoughts on anybody who can venture? Any guess? No? Python. Okay. So anybody else? Somebody just Java. Okay. It's actually English. You'll be surprised, and I'll tell you why. We started from a position of a lot of code being written to sort of, then people said, oh, but actually there should be low code, more customization, and then towards the end of no code. Now, actually, more code gets written on a daily basis by using pure English prompt than any other programming language that you and I know of. So that's a major shift from where we were, and this is not too long ago when it was not the case. So it's very quickly we have gotten to a place where English is already the most, it generates more code than anybody else in any other programming language we know. So that should tell us that the world is shifting in many ways. So that's something which I wanted to make sure that I make a point. The other thing which I want, a couple more points, and then I'm going to wrap it up, and then we can do some Q&A. I think AI is also a great equalizer. You would have seen that, again, I was referring to the panel before, talking about how it's important for SMEs and what they need to do and so on and so forth. But it's also a great equalizer from many other respects of it. It actually gives you a good starting point, irrespective of where you were. We're a big company, small company, and I'll get to that. But even if you take, let's take programming as a faculty, if you may. Let's say in a scale of 1 to 10, there are a few of us or you might be hitting at a 8 or 9, and so you're a really good coder or a developer or whatever. And then maybe others like me, maybe we were at the bottom end of the, let's say 2 or 3 in a scale of 1 to 10. Suddenly you will find that AI actually gives about maybe 10% productivity gain for somebody who's already at an 8. The somebody who's at a 3 or a 4, it gives you 80 to 85% productivity gain, or let's maybe 70% productivity gain, which means that suddenly it equalizes. It actually favors people who have not been so good at whatever they were doing, and it kind of gives you that level of uplift, if you may, more than what the others who could get. So in that sense, it's an equalizer. It suddenly gives you an equal feel, so that you can compete with the brightest of the best and the brightest in some sense. The other thing is the level of productivity, the boost is, people who've been around for a while, last 3 or 4 decades, we've always had this notion of saying that we got to make our developers and testers and coders and everybody 10x productive. So we've created tools, we created a lot of things, and we said, oh, we're going to be 10x productive. So we made pitches to the customers who are saying that, by the way, if we've used this tool set, or we've created something on our own, or we use this technology, or we use this research, and now our developers are going to be 10x productive. Never really happened. Do you know that? This 10x productive engineer was a myth across the last, 3 decades. Suddenly now, with AI and with, I don't want to name exactly the products of some of the companies, so I won't. It is a reality that it is not about 10x. You could potentially have a 100x productive or 100x productivity in terms of what you can actually do. Because the fact that, you could potentially generate all your code, test all your code, all of them using AI in some sense. So 10x was a myth. 100x is actually a reality today because of the fact that we've been able to make those changes. So I believe that's an interesting facet of what I see in the marketplace. So I want to pause here and then sort of get to the questions, if you may. But it is important for us to know that in many ways, this is the first time it is also impacting the white-collar jobs. Many of the productivity tools and the innovation, automation, etc., you've seen in the past, it's always impacted people at a lower end of the spectrum. People who did
blue-collar,
something, blue-collar workers in some sense. But this is the very first time. Very little that generative AI will do to the guy who fixes your air conditioner. He will go on about his job, come tomorrow, do the same thing, maybe come next day, will do the same thing. But if you are using a lot of your brain power, if you are using a lot of statistical tools, if you are an equity researcher, you got to be worried because your job is what is getting targeted by the generative AI and AI in general, not the guy who fixed your air conditioner yesterday. So it is important for you to think of this a little differently than what the other productivity enhancers, other automation tools, and so on and so forth. Which you mentioned the blue-collar workers. I mean, this is going to be purely looking at the. So let me pause there. I have a lot of other things. So, but let me pause there and Sriram. But thank you again for having me here. It's a pleasure to talk to all of them.
Thank you, Rajesh, for your valuable insights. Moving to fireside chat. So I'll be asking questions around the 5 themes, Rajesh. One is on the opportunities and trends, approach and implementation, leveraging AI, and risks and challenges, especially related with AI talent. And 5th one is responsible AI. Rajesh, I'm putting these questions to audience first. Quick poll, I want to understand. So how many of you are actively exploring AI technology in your companies, especially SMEs? Could you raise your hand, please? 40–50%. And raise your hand if you have already implemented AI solutions in application or in products. Could you please raise your hand? Again, 30–40%. Yeah, thanks. Rajesh, my first question for you is, AI is rapidly transforming industries and affecting all aspects of our lives. Question is, how do you see AI evolving for the next 5 to 10 years? And what are some of the key trends and key opportunities that we should be aware of?
So I am convinced that the pace at which the AI will transform, or the technology itself will transform is going to be significantly faster than any of us could imagine, right? That's for sure. However, there is a human element to implementing the technology, leveraging the technology, putting that into real use, incorporating into the rest of the systems. There's a lot of human interface, and that change management, or the emotional intelligence, not the artificial intelligence part of it, it's going to take a lot more time, and hence that's going to slow down the overall impact of what AI going to do. I also want to say that AI in the short run is, in my mind, I mean, you can quote me for sure, but in the short run is overhyped. It's not that tomorrow or the next quarter or within the next 12 months or next 2 years, we're all going to see a lot of things changing. So in some sense, it's overhyped, if you may. Everybody talks about AI, and I think, again, the previous panelist was saying about the fact that, it is important for us to make sure there's a real value in what we're trying to do. All of that is great. So I think it's a little bit overhyped. However, this is the killer. In the long run, we are underhyping AI, which means that we are not recognizing the potential of the amount of change it can bring in. So short run, you're okay. I mean, it's probably over. Everybody is too much. So because of the fact that it is overhyped now, people will lose interest after some time. 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, everything remains the same. They say, okay, this AI has done nothing for all of us, so let's go on with our business. But that's exactly what happens, right? So it takes a little bit of time, but when you look at a 4-year, 5-year to 10-year horizon, I think AI would have changed everything, right? So that is the important message that I want to leave you with. So it is important for you to sort of look at a little bit longer term, and the fact that is it really solving a problem? I mean, technology for the sake of technology will always be there, but it is important for us to understand that there is going to be a problem it's going to solve, or an opportunity that's going to create. We talked about customer experience, truly enhanced customer experience it's going to deliver. All of this is going to change, certainly in the long run.
Rajesh, you are talking about overhyped in the short term.
Yeah.
But whenever we are meeting our clients, so they are all talking about, have you done any POCs? Could you do this? It is a pressure coming from the board to the CEOs to the down the line, even business unit level, it is coming when you are interacting with customers. How to address the short term versus the customer priorities on various POCs, pilots they are asking, and that too they are asking, we have to deliver very quickly, so we have to have a unified platform or accelerator platform. How to address this?
No, I think, as I said before, right, there is no question that AI will have an impact on pretty much everything that we're going to be doing as we move forward. I mean, in some of the areas we've been able to jump onto it pretty quicker, and then you can see those results as we go by. In some areas we haven't. We have a great example, and fascinates me. A customer actually in Norway, they did a lot of work around, I don't know exactly the industry, but it is about oceanography or some such industry where they actually feed the salmon. And so in Norway they have this big farm which they actually within the ocean. So it's very hard to, and there are a couple of problems. One is, of course, it's basically sort of the growing salmons in millions. It's not 2 or 3 salmon. So when you do this, they found that there are the smarter ones, the really good or very healthy salmons. They end up eating all the food because the food is all automated. They have this food station. They could just sort of swim up and then eat what they want and then go up. So they were doing this, and then they found that there was about X amount of salmons were getting really healthy, and some of them are really so weak that they can't even survive. And also they found that there's a particular type of disease which comes on these salmons, which if you don't address it on time and then give a particular medicine, they would actually die in the process. So they wanted to do this computer vision, AI-enabled computer vision, which is beautifully done on these feeding stations. So now imagine this millions and millions of salmons which swim up to that. Now there's a capability because of AI that you've developed using this computer vision that when there are obviously millions of those stations as well. There are many stations where these salmons can swim up and have their feed. And when they swim up to this station, they can actually recognize you as an individual, in the salmon number 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever it is. So then they know, understand your weight right away. They know how big or small you are, and they know if you have the particular disease which is there. So all of this, they limit the quantum of food that you give it to these big ones because they actually get very sick if they eat too much. And they also have been able to administer this dose of medicine. So all I'm trying to say is that there is so much that's going on that you can deploy AI if you do it in the right way. I'm sure you can address these issues where you can solve the customer's problem, and also in terms of scaling up. I mean, you start with something fundamentally, and if you're able to solve a problem, ability for us to take it and sort of scale it into a larger one is exactly what AI would do for you, right? Okay. So I'm very excited about the opportunity at this point.
Thank you, Rajesh. With the rapid advancement of AI, how can organization develop AI capabilities, especially SMEs within their workforce for the future, including skilling of AI resources?
No, so there is so much work which happens in the country today on skilling. As you know, that there is from the government point of view, there are a lot of activities, and I won't go into the details because we'll spend the next half an hour talking about the skilling programs which exist in this country. We are at a pivotal point. I think we as a nation have a phenomenal ability to sort of become the largest. I mean, today we already are probably having capabilities around AI and how we can influence the rest of the world. Now, having said that, it'll be while people will get trained on a specific models of AI, what needs to be done on AI, and so on and so forth. Let's not forget a couple of things. One is it is not always about creating an LLM or do I have a local. I think even the previous panel talked about you probably don't end up starting with an LLM, but you probably do a if there's something very sector specific, you probably do a very foundation model or an SLM and so on and so forth. But there is a majority of these tasks which will deliver value to your customers and yourselves will not be in creating those foundational models, but leveraging them to make sure that you're solving a problem. So the capability required for you to sort of take some of these AI tools and ensure that you're able to apply these models in solving a problem is probably where the sweet spot is going to be. So there's going to be so much more learning which is required for doing that. And again, I want to say that what you see today as the need for us to do that may be very different from what is the need in 1 year down the line, right? So it is important for us to sort of develop this whole, I call it learnability. I mean, that's probably what all our people should have, that you're able to pivot into something pretty new. Because today we're all sitting here and talking about generative AI. 2 years down the line, maybe it's a completely different thing, right? So how do you make sure that you are able to, at least in the adjacency, you're able to change, and the ability for you to sort of really get to value, if you may, you're able to create that value is probably what will be the key.
Okay. Moving to leveraging AI for internal efficiency, customer service, customer experience, how can we leverage AI for improving core internal operations, whether it's a service delivery in BPM or in the technology area and other support functions like HR, finance, sales, various areas it's coming. So nowadays, CEOs are talking about they want to, not only in the core function, they are looking at, they want to implement in support functions also. Any thoughts on that, Rajesh?
No, but a great question, because I think if you do not implement it for yourself, if you don't leverage it for internal work, then it'd be hard for us to convince somebody else that this is the way for us to go. So especially if you're in services business, or if you're in the job of convincing some of your customers as to use your AI capability, I think it'll be a great idea for us to sort of do it internally. But before looking at this as a technology to be deployed, whether it is for your customers or for yourself, I think you have to ask the question, what is the problem you're trying to solve? We have to be very clear, and again, I keep referring to the panel before, it is important for us to know that, is this the right thing for us to do? I'm sure there are lots of areas where you could certainly leverage AI in a significant way, but you got to be driven by a need, driven by a business need, and then apply AI, because you can't solve the problem any other way. AI will definitely be a lot more beneficial for us to do it. I mean, one of the examples where most people have gotten a lot of benefit out of is customer service. So they deploy this as almost a default, and then they've gotten extremely good benefits out of it. I mean, today the customer experience itself is much higher for people who have truly deployed AI in a broader sense of the word, if you may. So leveraging that, and you are able to solve those problems. I mean, the backlogs are gone. So a significant amount of benefit because of the scaling that you could do very, very quickly with AI. So I think it's important for us to do it very carefully and ensure that there are areas where, again, the other area I can think of is skilling and making sure that the human capital is really looked into. Not necessarily to replace the human capital, but also to make sure that, why do I see that the replacement is not something which I believe we should get too worried about, because the jobs have multiple tasks underneath. So each job, let's say take a job, it will probably have 10 tasks underneath. Maybe 7 of them would be done by AI, but maybe the remaining 3, you may have to find a nice way of making a strategic collaboration between AI and humans, so that you really get the job done in the right way. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of work to be done, Sriram, but I think.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. So especially SMEs, we have to implement internally, or even for large companies.
Right.
So internally, whether it's a core operations or in your support functions, then with that real use cases, so you can go and pitch with external customers to get business, either POC or real business. This is the last question. With that, we'll close. What are the key challenges and opportunities in scaling AI solutions from POC to enterprise-wide implementation, Rajesh?
No, in my mind, the biggest challenge you're going to face is data, because people always get very carried away. They all get carried away by AI, and it's the fact that you have an AI solution, so on and so forth. I think if you don't have enough data, you're not going to get anywhere with AI. So the challenge for us is going to be, there's also an opportunity, by the way, because India as a country, we generate so much of data as a nation. So I think there's so much of data available for these models to really work with. But at the same time, when the moment you're beginning to implement as a prototype and so on and so forth, the biggest challenge people face is data. They do not having the right data, whether it is quantum of data or it is the quality of data, etc., which will actually big impediment for you to really go out and make a big difference, or build something which you can demonstrate to yourself as well as your customers. So I believe that if I were to pick one, I think it will be data. Focusing on data will really help.
Thank you. Already we have exceeded, Rajesh. Yeah. Thank you so much, Rajesh, for your valuable insights and interactive session. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, audience, for listening, and you might have taken a lot of insights from Rajesh interaction. To conclude, let us work together to ensure that AI is used in a responsible, ethical, and beneficial way for all. Thank you very much.
Many thanks for sharing your expertise and knowledge and deepening our understanding on this matter. I now take the opportunity to invite on stage Dr. Chetan Samant from NASSCOM team to felicitate our speakers. I also request you, gentlemen, to kindly stay back on the stage, because we would startly be commencing with the SME Inspire Awards ceremony. Thank you, Dr. Chetan, for doing the honors.